Hello, everybody. It's Craig from URComped here with another of our interviews with Dr. David Schwartz, Director of the Center for Gaming Research at UNLV and multiple-time author of some very interesting books on Las Vegas and the casino industry. Dr. Dave, how are you today, sir?
Pretty good. Looking forward to that long weekend.
Yeah, we are filming this, recording it on the Friday before Labor Day, and we are, gosh, practically a month ago today, we were doing the meetup at sea.
Yeah,
I think, like right now, you may have been giving your talk about Vegas history to a group of URComp customers somewhere in the Atlantic Ocean.
that was exciting.
That was a lot of fun. That was a
Yeah.
lot of fun. But so in more recent news, you just completed a really cool article for Forbes about the transformation, actually both the history and the evolution transformation of the north end of the Las Vegas Strip. So maybe you could walk us through, kind of start at the history, and then
Sure.
walk us through where we're at today.
Well, the Las Vegas Strip really started up in its north end with the El Rancho Vegas all the way back in 1941. And that's where most of the early action was, Last Frontier, and pretty much it ended with the Flamingo until 57 when the Tropicana opened. And the Tropicana was kind of isolated way down where it is now for a while. In the 90s, when they started building all the mega resorts, a lot of them were on that south end of the strip. So the balance of power really shifted. And then, over the past 20 years or 10 years, 15, a lot of the casinos in the North Strip closed. The Stardust, the Frontier, Riviera, they all closed. So really, there's kind of this vacuum up in the north end of the strip.
Yeah, it's tough because you don't get the same foot traffic. I mean, the foot traffic really ends at the Wynn right now, because then right next to the Wynn you have what? You've got Fontainebleau, which
Yeah.
is the Drew, and then is there anything after that, or then it's the SLS?
SLS right now, yeah. And Circus Circus on the other side of the strip.
Okay. Now, when did McCarran Airport get built, and when did? Because I gotta imagine that's got to be a help shift the
Yeah,
power to the
that
south.
was, I mean, that was always there. It's expanded a lot over the years, but that was pretty much always down there.
Okay. Okay, got it. So so the shift, so the power, like over the last 15, 20 years, has more shifted to the south end of the strip. But what's going on in the north end of the strip today, which makes you, or in your article, you make the case that maybe the shift will start moving back to the North Pole.
Well, we've got a lot of stuff happening. So for one thing, SLS has been sold. The Murillo Group is the new owners, and they're putting about $100 million into it. So hopefully that'll solve some of the problems of that property. And just having new ownership, I think, is a good thing. You also have Resorts World, which is the Genting Group out of Malaysia. They also own a pretty big casino in New York City. So they have a lot of experience in the United States, just not in Vegas. And they're a major international operator. They own cruise lines. They own like almost everything. So they even have plantations. I mean, so it's a big company. So they're building. You also,
Oh, sorry to cut you off, but I think that company is really interesting. I'd love to learn more about it, because I know that they've got that Resorts World New York City, which is mince money. They have Resorts World Bimini, which is the closest Bahamian island to the U.S. They own Crystal Cruises, which they call Resorts World at Sea. I guess that new Catskills resort is them too, right? This Resort World Catskills. But it seems like none of those, aside from New York, I heard New York makes a ton of money. Catskills supposedly losing money. Bimini, who knows? But what's their big cash cow? Do you know? Like,
well, Singapore obviously is pretty huge, and so is their property in Malaysia. And they own a lot of stuff in the UK too. So I mean, they're just so big and so diversified that even if they might have a couple of properties that aren't that profitable in the Western Hemisphere, they're just making so much money already. They've one of the two resorts in Singapore. So that I think probably does pretty well for them.
awesome. Okay, so I kind of cut you off there. So you're talking about SLS, new owner,
Yeah,
100 million bucks,
yeah.
Resorts
And
World.
then, as you said, the Fountain Blue is turning into the Drew. and that also has new ownership. So that is probably going to be a good thing.
And so if you were, all right, so the SLS is already there. They're putting money into it, so it's going to get better. But that's definitely going to happen. Resorts World, there's
Yeah, I mean,
construction.
they're definitely changing the name. Probably Grand Sahara Resort, even though I'm not wild about that name, just because we already have MGM Grand, downtown Grand, and I don't know that we need another Grand in Las Vegas. Just seems like that name, the Grand name, doesn't really do much.
Yeah.
But but I think they want it to be GSR, like the Reno properties, the Grand Sierra Resort. So I think that's kind of their vision of we'll have the Grand Sahara Resort. But I think just Sahara would be great by itself. It's got such great name recognition. But that's a minor thing. It's their property. They can call it whatever they want.
Yeah, they're sinking 100 million into it. Do you know what the purchase price was?
Not off the top of my head, no.
Okay. Because
Yeah, I didn't think the D was a great name either, but I'm not going to second guess Derek.
right. But SLS, I mean, that was they. I remember when they first bought it with the SBS group, right? And they paid a ton of money for it, and then they sunk a lot of money into it, and that thing never really turned a profit, right? That was a loser from day one.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of problems with that property. I think it just one of them was the lack of foot traffic, so all isolated down there. The other was just the design. I never really got a good vibe in there. They had some really good restaurants that people were really into, but it just didn't. I don't know. It just doesn't seem like it seemed like the kind of place you'd want to spend a lot of time in.
But the Alex, how do you say his name? Maruello?
Marullo.
Huh?
Marullo.
Marullo. He's done a great job with GSR.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they really turned that around. That's another historic property. It was the Hilton for many years. It was the MGM Grand up there. So they really did turn that one around.
All right, so we've got SLS, which already has new owners. Will get a lot better over the next 2 years. You got Resorts World, which is supposed to open when?
Late 2020.
Late 2020. The Drew, have they established a timeline?
I think they're also in late 2020.
Okay. All right. And then Wynn is looking at
Yeah,
expanding on the
we're
other side
not
of the
really
street.
sure what's going to happen. Definitely, you're getting the Esplanade expansion or whatever they're calling it, the new shopping area. You're also definitely going to get a convention center expansion. I'm not sure right now what the status is of the hotel expansion on, the lagoon side, whatever, where they want to build the lagoon and the convention center. And I'm really not sure what the status of the Frontier site is, if they're going to go ahead with that in the next 5 years.
All right. And so what do you think, like adding all these new properties, new rooms online on the strip, how do you think that's going to play out?
Well, I think it's going to be a good thing for Las Vegas people because they'll have more places to work. I think it's going to be a good thing for the customers because they'll have more choices. So if people do stuff that's not popular, like charge for parking, if these new places don't, well, that's going to give them a competitive edge. So I think anytime you have more competitors in the mix, it's going to end up benefiting the employees and the customers. It might hurt the profit margins of some of the existing operators, but I think in the end, it's going to force them to also innovate, to also try new things, which will help them. They'll probably make more money.
That's a great point because on in our previous interviews where we talk about how all these resort fees, charging for parking, all these nickel and diming things, a lot of that is only came into play because a lot of the strip, it's basically a duopoly between Caesars and MGM. They could just do something like that. But you add, Resorts World, new competitor, owners of the Drew, new competitor, SLS, new competitor. So now you've got a few more parties to kind of be innovative, to your point. And
Yeah, and I think there's just a feeling that less concentration is probably better just because it doesn't seem to have led to huge benefits for anybody. Certainly, a while ago I looked at the stock prices of the companies and it didn't really lead to huge benefits for them. So, yeah, I don't think concentration is the way to go forward.
I guess the scary part, the positive, of course, is more competition. More competition is going to be better for the customer. The scary part is RevPAR, revenue per available room, is already trending down.
Yeah, there's that. There's a lot of big question marks. RevPAR is down. The gaming revenues were down. Hold was down a lot. Even where gaming revenues were up in downtown Las Vegas, the hold was down in July, which would concern me. Caesar CEO said it's just a blip. We'll see. We'll see what happens in the third quarter. And it's not really a favorable trend right now, especially with the national economy supposedly doing so well. You would think you would see more of a carryover to Las Vegas.
Yeah, it's yeah. I we've been talking about it for a while. I've been saying to everybody, and I love Las Vegas, but I hate to say I've been telling anybody that asks me, "Oh, Vegas is so hot." I'm like, man, I would short Vegas right now just because of the perception of a lot of gamblers. Like, man, you can't win. It's like you're just throwing your money into a furnace when you put it into a strip slot machine because they've tightened the hold so much. So I'm hoping that some of these new entrants can kind of start with a clean slate. They can add more value and help to quickly turn the perception, because these existing players like a Caesar's Palace, where people you can't win at Caesar's, it would take years for them to kind of flip that conception.
Yeah,
But
I think there is a need for the return of value, and that doesn't mean to make everything really cheap. It just means give at least the perception of value that people got their money's worth.
yeah, absolutely. Let them game longer, right? Like instead of taking the money out of the slot machine in 2 hours, let them play longer. Hopefully they hit a couple jackpots. I mean, it's positive word of mouth, right?
Hmm. Oh yeah.
So, all right. So it sounds like there's a lot of action going on, but we're not going to see any new big players on the strip until Q4 of 2020.
Yeah, 2020, end of 2020.
And is that in time for the Raiders football season, or they
Yes,
start in
that's also
2019?
when the Raiders are supposed to arrive. So it's going to be a pretty big year. 2020 should be a pretty big year for Las Vegas.
What are people saying about how the Raiders are going to impact Las Vegas?
Well, I think there's a real range of opinions. Some people think it's going to be the greatest thing since sliced bread. Some people think it's not going to help. Some people think it might even hurt. So I think there's definitely a lot of opinions out there on that.
Why would it hurt?
Just the people who come aren't going to be doing anything else. They're going to spend all day Sunday getting to the arena or stadium, going to the stadium. They're going to, obviously, it's not going to be cheap. So if you're going to be dropping a bunch of money in tickets and concessions, you're not going to really be primed to go out and gamble afterwards or go out and see a show afterwards. So that's kind of, that's the more pessimistic view. Optimistic view is that you'll get people who wouldn't be coming to Vegas already. So you're going to be adding to the overall pie.
And for people that aren't familiar with the geography of Las Vegas, or especially like where the stadium's going, how far away from the strip is the new Raiders site?
It's close to the strip, but it's in the south end of the strip. So it's near Mandalay Bay. That would be the closest casino.
Okay. I mean, I think it's a net positive. I mean, that's my opinion, because almost like another concert, another prize fight, it's going to attract, if the St. Louis, actually I was about to say St. Louis Rams. I'm like, but Denver Broncos come to town to play the Raiders. Like, that's one more reason for some people from Denver to come to Vegas and bring some money to spend. So I think it's a net positive.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I heard, I can't remember where I read it, but that the parking structure is not going to be very big at the Raiders Stadium. What have you heard about that?
Yeah, so there's problems with parking. They'll have to have people park off-site and take shuttles in. I'm not sure how much that's going to contribute to the game day experience, but I don't own a football team, so don't ask me, but I probably would have made it possible for people who want to see a game to park walking distance to the stadium. And I'm not a football team owner, so I guess I don't know what I'm talking about.
But I guess if the casinos like it, right? If people have to park at the casino and then
They're going to pay for parking, but I think the idea is
or they're going to get a couple drinks at the casino and gamble a little bit before they take the shuttle.
Yeah, and I think maybe they want people to take ride shares or something like that there, which might be great. But again, it's not really, if you live in Las Vegas, you pretty much just want to be able to get to the stadium. So this may be kind of frustrating for locals at least. I'm guessing if you're coming in from out of town, you might not even have a car, so you might not even notice. But yeah, if you're local, you might have trouble.
And how big is this stadium going to be? They said.
They've said, but I don't remember off the top of my head.
I it's probably 50, 60,000, right? I mean, that's kind of standard for an NFL stadium. Maybe a little lower. But so the hockey stadium, the Knights pretty much sold out every game, right? Or for the most part. And that's, what is that? 10,000 at?
No, 20.
Is it really at T-Mobile?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
See, the capacity is supposed to be 65,000 for football.
65,000. All right, so T-Mobile is about 18. Well, gosh, I mean, if there's 8 regular season NFL games, I bet Vegas could sell it out. I mean, if nothing else, I'm sure like Venetian, Wynn, MGM, Caesars are going to buy a ton of seats. Even if the stadium looks half empty, it's probably going to be a sellout every time. So
Yeah, they could.
they'll probably
They
just
could.
want to have tickets to give their high rollers.
Yeah.
Well, what else? Did we miss anything on North End of the Strip?
We covered the North Strip. There's just a lot more detail in the article. So if people haven't done it already, you definitely want to go and read that article because there's some good detail. And hey, even though originally I wasn't in love with the name the D, I did give Derek Stevens a shout out in the article. So a lot of respect.
Yeah. So if you want to find the article, you can Google Forbes, David Schwartz. And then actually, I like going to that page, your Forbes David Schwartz page, because then you can see
Yeah.
all of your articles.
All the articles, you can read more than one, or you can go to dgschwartz.com.
DGSchwartz.com.
Yeah. Links to everything.
SCH. It's funny because my last name is Shacklett. Everybody tries to put a C in there. I'm just SH. But yeah, SCHWARTZ.
Yep.
DGSchwartz.com.
That's it.
All right. And then last question. Is Stratosphere part of the Strip? What's your opinion?
This is a debate. Is the Stratosphere considered the North Strip? Originally, definitely not. And technically, the Strip does end at Sahara because that's where city limits start. Bob Stupak, may rest in peace, is the one who said, well, it's on the Strip because it's on Las Vegas Boulevard. But kind of if that's in the Strip, then almost everything, you can say the Strip runs all the way up to North Las Vegas. So I wouldn't consider it Strip. It's not really downtown either. I think it's somewhere in the middle. It's its own thing.
Yeah. It's like the Rio. It orbits the Strip.
Yeah, Strip area maybe, but it's definitely not. For me, the Strip stops at Sahara because that's where city of Las Vegas begins.
Got it. Well, it definitely has beautiful sight lines of the Strip. I've been up there.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That happy hour at the restaurant up top. It's nice.
Yeah. And there's not a single time I don't go up there where I say, hey, I can see my house from here. That too.
Awesome. Well, Dr. Dave, thank you, sir. Always a pleasure.
Thank you, Craig.
What do you got next week? What's in store?
Caesar's Palace and the apostrophe, the case of the missing apostrophe.
Oh, well, if somebody wants a preview of that, you should read Dr. Dave's book, Grandissimo.
Yeah.
It does cover that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Dr. Dave.
Thank you.